The first helicopter arrived during a storm. Lena Carter saw it through the rain-streaked windows of her classroom, its black body cutting through the fog over the Atlantic like something that did not belong to nature. Her students stopped dissecting flowers and turned toward the sound, their faces pale beneath the flickering fluorescent lights. Outside, the island was drowning in gray. Waves slammed against the cliffs. Wind bent the pines. Rain turned the schoolyard into glass. And above it all, the helicopter descended toward the old harbor, where no private aircraft had landed in 20 years. Lena moved toward the window slowly. Then she saw the SUVs. Not one. Not two. A convoy of black vehicles rolled off the ferry ramp like a funeral procession, their headlights burning through the rain. Men in dark suits stepped out beneath black umbrellas, silent and coordinated, their attention moving across the island as if they already owned it. By sunset, everyone on St. Ola Island knew the truth. They did. A mysterious corporation had purchased nearly every acre of private land on the island in less than 2 weeks. The old fishery, the abandoned lighthouse, the hotel, the marina, the wild northern forest, even the vacant chapel overlooking the cliffs. By morning, the name of the corporation was everywhere. Vale Holdings. But the man behind it had no public photo, no interviews, no social media, no friendly billionaire smile, only rumors. Adrian Vale, the most feared mafia boss on the East Coast. And for reasons no one understood, he had bought an entire island after hearing one woman's name, Lena Carter's. At the emergency town meeting that night, the entire island packed into the old community hall. Fishermen stood beside teachers, shop owners beside retirees, teenagers whispering beneath the balcony. Rain battered the roof so hard, it sounded like applause from ghosts. The mayor stood on stage with trembling hands. "They say redevelopment will bring jobs," he said. Someone shouted, "They say a lot when they're stealing your home." Then the back doors opened. The room went silent. Adrian Vale entered without hurry. He wore a black coat over a tailored suit, his dark hair still wet from the storm. He was younger than Lena expected, perhaps late 30s, but there was nothing young in his eyes. They were cold, steady, almost brutally calm. Men moved around him like shadows. No one spoke. No one breathed loudly. Except Lena. She stood, every head turned toward her. Adrian's gaze found her instantly. For one strange second, the room seemed to disappear. "You can buy land," Lena said, her voice clear despite the storm. "You can buy buildings. You can buy silence from people who are scared of you. But you do not own this island." A ripple of fear moved through the hall. Adrian studied her, not offended, not amused, interested. "That depends," he said quietly, "on what you think ownership means." Lena lifted her chin. "It means people live here. Children grow up here. Families are buried here. This place has memories you can't put in a contract." His expression did not change, but something flickered in his eyes. Memory, wine, recognition. Then he stepped closer. "You're Lena Carter." The way he said her name felt wrong. Not like a stranger reading it from a file, like a man repeating a name he had carried for years. "Yes," she said. "And you are not welcome here." A dangerous silence followed. One of his men shifted, but Adrian lifted one hand and the man froze. Then Adrian looked at Lena, as if everyone else had vanished. "I didn't come here to be welcome," he said. "I came here before they did." "Who?" His eyes darkened. "The men who will not ask permission." That night, Lena told herself she hated him. She hated his calm, his arrogance, the way fear bent around him. She hated how the island seemed smaller with him on it. But mostly, she hated the way he had looked at her. as if he had been searching for her long before she knew she was lost. 2 days later, the first accident happened. Lena was driving home from school when her brakes failed on the coastal road. One moment, she was passing the cliffs above Blackwater Cove. The next, the pedal sank beneath her foot and the car surged toward the guardrail. The ocean opened below her, dark and violent. She yanked the wheel. Metal screamed. Her car spun sideways, and before it could break through the rail, a black SUV slammed into her rear quarter panel, forcing her vehicle back onto the road. The impact threw her against the seatbelt. Rain exploded across the windshield. For several seconds, she heard nothing but her own breathing. Then her door opened. Adrian Vale stood there in the rain. No umbrella, no panic, no visible fear, just that cold, terrifying control. "Are you hurt?" he asked. Lena stared at him. "You were following me?" "Yes." Her shock burned into anger. "You admit that?" "I don't lie when the truth is more useful." She tried to climb out, but her knees nearly failed. Adrian caught her by the arm. His hand was firm, warm, steady, too steady. Lena pulled away. "Don't touch me." He released her immediately, but his eyes dropped to the bruise forming near her collarbone, and something in his face hardened. Not softness. Not yet. Something worse. Restraint. A man holding violence behind his teeth. "My mechanic will examine the car," he said. "My car is none of your business. It became my business when someone tried to send you over a cliff." Lena went still. The storm moved between them. "You think this was deliberate?" "I know it was." Behind him, one of his men crouched near the wheel and pulled something small from beneath the chassis. A cut brake line. Lena's throat tightened. Adrian turned away, speaking in a low voice to his men. "Find who touched her car," one of them asked. "And when we do?" Adrian looked back at Lena. His voice became colder than the rain. "Make sure he remembers her name every time he breathes." Lena should have been terrified. She was. But beneath the terror was something she hated even more. Relief. That night, Adrian's men parked outside her cottage. Lena stood at her kitchen window, wrapped in an old sweater, staring at the black SUV beneath the street lamp. The ocean roared beyond the dunes. Her cottage smelled of salt, old wood, and chamomile tea she had forgotten to drink. She called the sheriff. No answer. She called the mayor. He told her softly, "Lena, maybe don't fight this one." The next morning, she found a new security camera above her porch. She ripped it down with a broom. 10 minutes later, Adrian himself arrived. He stood on her porch holding the broken camera in one hand. "You destroyed property," he said. "You installed surveillance on my home. I installed protection. I didn't ask for protection." "No," he said. "You asked for honesty. This is what it looks like." Lena crossed her arms. "Honesty would be telling me why someone cut my brake line." Adrian's eyes moved over her face. For a moment, she thought he might answer. Instead, he said, "Pack a bag." She laughed once, disbelieving. "Excuse me? You're coming with me." "No, I'm not. Your cottage is exposed. Your school is exposed. Your routines are predictable. My routines are my life. Then your life is easy to map." The words landed too hard. Lena stepped closer, anger trembling beneath her skin. "You do not get to walk onto my island. Buy half of it. Put cameras on my house, and then tell me how to live." Adrian's jaw tightened. For the first time, his control cracked. "Your mother said the same thing." Silence. Lena's breath caught. "What did you say?" Adrian looked away. It was brief. Almost nothing. But Lena saw it. A regret. "You knew my mother." He said nothing. "My mother died when I was 12. "I know." The softness of that answer frightened her more than his threats. "How?" Adrian looked back at her. "She saved my life." The world seemed to tilt. Lena remembered her mother as a woman with wind-tangled hair, paint on her hands, and a laugh that made their kitchen feel warmer in winter. She remembered her disappearing for 3 days once, returning with a cut above her brow and refusing to explain. She remembered her dying suddenly in what everyone called a boating accident. A boating accident that no one ever truly understood. "What does my mother have to do with this?" Lena whispered. Adrian stepped closer, but stopped before touching her. "She hid something powerful men have killed for." "What?" His gaze dropped to her throat, to the silver locket she always wore. Her mother's locket. Lena covered it instinctively. Adrian's voice lowered. "Do not take that off." Before she could respond, gunfire shattered the morning. The window behind her exploded. Adrian moved faster than thought. He grabbed Lena, pulled her against him, and threw them both to the floor as bullets tore through the cottage walls. Glass rained over them. Lena's heart slammed so hard she could barely breathe. Adrian covered her body with his. His coat smelled of rain, smoke, and expensive cologne. His hand cradled the back of her head, shielding her from broken glass. Outside, his men returned fire. The peaceful street filled with screams. Lena pressed her hands against his chest, trembling. "My students, they're safe. You don't know that. I moved security to the school before sunrise." She stared at him. "You knew this was coming." His eyes held hers. "I suspected. And you didn't tell me? If I told you, you would run." "I still might." "No," he said quietly. "You'll fight." It should have sounded like arrogance. Instead, it sounded like he knew her too well. When the shooting stopped, Adrian lifted her into his arms despite her protest and carried her through the ruined doorway. Outside, neighbors watched from behind curtains. Black SUVs filled the street. Smoke drifted through the rain. Lena saw a man in a gray coat lying near the dunes, wounded but alive. One of Adrian's guards dragged him away. "Who is he?" she demanded. Adrian did not look at the man. "Romano's." "Who is Romano?" "The reason I came before he did." By dusk, Lena was taken to the old lighthouse estate on the northern cliffs. Adrian had already transformed it. The abandoned mansion beside the lighthouse now glowed with candlelight, guarded by men with earpieces and guns beneath their coats. Outside, waves crashed against black rocks. Inside, the air smelled of cedar, leather, and firewood. It was beautiful, and it was a cage. Lena stood in the grand foyer, arms crossed. "I'm not staying here." Adrian removed his gloves calmly. "You are. You can't imprison me. I can keep you alive." "That is not the same thing." His eyes lifted. "No," he said, "but tonight it is close enough." For 3 days, Lena remained at the estate. She hated the luxury of it. The silent staff, the guards outside every door. The way Adrian's men lowered their eyes when he passed. She hated that her own island now felt foreign. And she hated that Adrian never tried to charm her. He did not flirt. He did not apologize. He did not soften. He simply watched, from across dinner tables, from the end of candlelit hallways, from the terrace where he stood at night, speaking in Italian, into his phone while the sea thundered below. Lena learned pieces of him through silence. He did not sleep much. He drank black coffee at midnight. He carried an old scar across his left hand. He never raised his voice, and everyone feared him more when he was quiet. On the 4th night, Lena found the locked room. It was hidden behind the library, beyond a narrow passage concealed by old shelves. She discovered it by accident while searching for a phone without guards nearby. Inside was a wall of maps. St. Orla Island, her school, her cottage, her mother's old art studio. Photographs. Not hundreds of her, but enough. Lena at the harbor market. Lena outside school. Lena walking alone near the dunes. Lena laughing with her students during a beach cleanup. Her stomach turned cold. Then she saw the oldest photograph. Her mother, younger, standing beside a bleeding teenage boy with dark eyes. Adrian. Lena turned as the door opened. Adrian stood there. No surprise, only resignation. "You were watching me," she said. "Yes." "For how long?" 3 years. Her voice broke with fury. "You had no right." "I had a promise." "To my mother?" "Yes. She's dead." His expression tightened. "Because of me." The room went still. Lena's anger faltered. Adrian walked to the old photograph but did not touch it. "I was 19 when your mother found me in Boston Harbor," he said. "My father's enemies had shot me and left me in the water. She pulled me out, hid me, treated the wound. She knew who I was. She knew helping me could get her killed." Lena swallowed hard. "My mother was a painter. She was also smarter than every man chasing her. What did she hide?" Adrian looked at the locket again. A ledger. Lena's hand closed around it. "That's impossible. Your mother stole financial records from 3 mafia families, bank routes, offshore accounts, names of judges, police chiefs, senators. Enough to destroy empires." Lena backed away. "No, she wouldn't. She did it to stop them from using your island." "For what?" Adrian's voice lowered. "A burial ground for money, bodies, and secrets." The words made Lena's skin go cold. "She hid the access key before she died," he said. "Romano believes it is inside your locket." Lena unclasped it with shaking hands and opened it. Inside was only a faded picture of her mother, and behind it, a tiny strip of metal she had never noticed. Adrian's eyes sharpened. Before either of them could speak, alarms erupted through the mansion. A guard burst in. Boats approaching from the east. No lights. Adrian's face changed. The cold man vanished. The Mafia Boss remained. "Take her to the lower safe room." Lena gripped the locket. "No, Lena. I'm done being dragged from room to room while men kill each other over my mother's ghost." Adrian stepped close. Fury controlled beneath his calm. "You think courage makes you bulletproof?" "No. I think fear makes people obedient." His eyes burned. "Not you. No, not me." For one suspended moment, they stood close enough that she could feel the warmth of him. His hand lifted, almost touched her face. Stopped. The restraint hurt more than contact would have. Then an explosion shook the mansion. The windows burst inward. The attack came from the sea. Romano's men climbed the cliffs under cover of storm and smoke. Gunfire tore through the estate. Chandeliers shattered. Guards shouted. The lighthouse beam swung wildly through rain, illuminating black figures moving across the rocks. Adrian shoved Lena behind a stone column as bullets struck marble. "Stay down." "Adrian?" The sound of his name on her lips stopped him. For half a second, the feared man looked human. Then he handed her a small pistol. "Only if there is no other choice. I don't know how to use this. Point away from yourself." "That's your lesson?" His mouth almost curved. Almost. Then he turned and walked into the gunfire. Lena watched him become violence. Not reckless. Not wild. Precise. Terrifying. He moved through smoke with absolute control, giving orders, shielding wounded men, dragging the fight away from the room where she hid. And still, every few seconds, his eyes found her, as if the entire war existed only because she was breathing inside it. When Romano's men breached the library, Lena ran. She fled through the hidden passage, down old servant stairs, and into tunnels beneath the estate. The air smelled of wet stone and salt. Behind her, footsteps followed. She reached an iron door and shoved it open. The tunnel led to the abandoned chapel on the cliff. Moonlight cut through broken stained glass. Candles burned near the altar. Someone had been there, waiting. Victor Romano stepped from the shadows. He was older than Adrian, silver-haired, elegant, with a smile that never touched his eyes. "Lena Carter," he said. "Your mother's face, your father's stubbornness." Lena raised the gun with both hands. Romano smiled wider. "You won't shoot me. Don't test me. I knew your mother. She was brave too. Brave women make excellent martyrs." Lena's finger trembled. Romano's gaze dropped to the locket. "Give me the key, and I'll let the island live." "The island? My dear, why do you think Adrian bought it? Not for you. Not only for you. Beneath this island is a vault your mother locked. Whoever opens it controls half the eastern underworld." Lena's breath caught. "And Adrian wants it." Romano tilted his head. "Of course he does. Men like us do not protect without wanting something." The words struck exactly where doubt already lived. Adrian appeared in the chapel doorway moments later, blood on his collar, gun in hand, eyes fixed on Romano. "Step away from her." Romano laughed softly. "There he is, the orphan king." Adrian's face remained cold, but Lena saw the storm beneath it. Romano turned to her. "Ask him what he did the night your mother died." Lena looked at Adrian. His silence was answer enough to wound her. "What is he talking about?" Adrian's jaw tightened. "Lena." "No. Tell me." Romano smiled. Her boat did not sink by accident. It exploded because Adrian's enemies followed him to her. Lena's world narrowed. Adrian said nothing. "Is it true?" she whispered. His eyes met hers. "Yes." The chapel seemed to collapse around her. All the fear, all the surveillance, all his protection, it twisted into something unbearable. "My mother died because of you." Adrian flinched, not visibly to anyone else, but Lena saw it. "Yes," he said. Romano moved fast. He grabbed Lena from behind, pressing a blade to her throat. Adrian went utterly still. The entire island seemed to hold its breath. Romano whispered, "Give me the key, or I open her throat in your mother's chapel." Adrian lowered his gun. Lena felt the blade kiss her skin. "Don't," she breathed. Adrian's eyes stayed on hers. For the first time, his voice broke. "I have already watched one Carter woman die because of me." He set the gun on the floor. "I won't watch another." Romano's smile sharpened. That was when Lena understood. Adrian did want the vault, but not for power, for atonement. For years, he had carried her mother's death like a blade under his ribs. Lena drove her heel into Romano's foot and twisted hard. The knife cut her skin, but missed deep. Adrian moved. A gunshot cracked through the chapel. Romano staggered back. Adrian crossed the distance in seconds, pulling Lena into his arms as his men flooded the chapel. Romano fell against the altar, wounded, still laughing. "You think this ends with me?" he rasped. Adrian looked down at him. "No," he said. "It ends with her choosing what to do with the truth." By dawn, the storm had passed. St. Orla Island looked wounded but alive. Smoke rose from the lighthouse estate. Broken glass glittered on wet grass. The harbor was filled with Coast Guard lights, police boats, and the quiet aftermath of violence too large for the island to understand. Lena sat on the chapel steps with a bandage at her throat. Adrian stood several feet away. He had not touched her since saving her. Not because he didn't want to, because he knew he had lost the right. "You should hate me," he said. Lena watched the sunrise bleed gold across the ocean. "I did." "And now?" She looked at him. "You scare me." His expression did not shift. "I should. You control everything around you." "Yes." "You watched my life without permission." "Yes." "You kept secrets from me." "Yes." "And you loved my mother?" Adrian went still. "Not like that," he said. "She was the first person who treated me like something worth saving." Lena's eyes softened despite herself. He looked toward the sea. After she died, I made a promise over her grave. I would protect you. From my world, from hers, from every man who came looking for what she hid. And then you bought my island. His mouth tightened. I failed to protect your mother with distance. I thought I could protect you with control. Lena stood slowly. The wind moved between them. You don't get to own people because you're afraid to lose them. Adrian's eyes returned to hers. No, he said. I don't. The honesty was quiet, costly. Lena reached into her pocket and pulled out the tiny metal strip from the locket. The key. What happens if this vault opens? Men fall, Adrian said. Power shifts. The families exposed in those records will turn on one another. And the island, I can protect it. No. Lena stepped closer. We protect it. His gaze searched her face. Not possession. Not command. Something more dangerous because it was vulnerable. Hope. You still want me near you? He asked. I don't know what I want. Then I'll wait. The answer stunned her. Adrian Vale. A man who bought islands and bent cities to his will, offering patience like surrender. Lena looked at the ruined chapel, the sea, the place her mother had died trying to save. Then she looked at him. You'll start by returning the homes you bought from people who were pressured. Done. And no more cameras on my house. His eyes darkened. Lena. No. A beat. Then he nodded. No cameras. And no killing people because they upset me. That will be difficult. Adrian. His mouth almost softened. Fine. For the first time. Lena smiled. Small. Exhausted. Real. 3 weeks later, the island gathered at the harbor. Not for a protest. For a revelation. The vault had been found beneath the old fishery, sealed behind stone and steel, exactly where Lena's mother had hidden it. Inside were records powerful enough to destroy senators, judges, crime lords, and corporations that had fed on fear for decades. Lena did not hand them to Adrian. She handed them to every honest authority Adrian's people could find, every journalist not already bought, every prosecutor with enough courage left to stand upright. The scandal tore through the country. Romano's empire collapsed first. Then 2 more families. Then the officials who had protected them. St. Orla became famous overnight. Reporters arrived by ferry. Helicopters circled again. But this time, Lena stood at the front of the harbor. Adrian beside her, not in front of her. When one reporter shouted, "Miss Carter, is it true Adrian Vale bought this island because of you?" Lena looked at him. Adrian's expression remained unreadable, but his hand hovered near hers, not touching, waiting. Lena took it. The cameras exploded in flashes. "Yes," she said, "but he doesn't own it anymore." A murmur moved through the crowd. Adrian looked down at their joined hands. For a man feared by entire cities, he looked almost undone by the simple fact that she had chosen to hold on. That night, they returned to the lighthouse cliff. The mansion was still under repair. The chapel had new windows. The sea was calm beneath a sky full of stars. Lena stood near the edge, wrapped in Adrian's coat. He came up behind her, but stopped a careful distance away. "You're doing it again," she said. "Doing what?" "Acting like I'll break if you come closer." His voice lowered. "I know you won't break." "Then why are you standing so far away?" Silence. Then he said, "Because I don't know how to want something without destroying the world around it." Lena turned. There he was, the feared Mafia Boss, the man who could command armies, looking at her like she was the one thing he did not know how to survive. She stepped closer. "You don't have to destroy anything." His gaze dropped to her lips, then back to her eyes. "I bought an island." "Yes," she whispered. That was excessive. A breath almost like laughter left him. Then his face grew serious. "I heard your name once from a dying woman who asked me to protect her daughter. For years, that was all you were. A promise. A debt. A ghost. I watched from a distance. His hand lifted slowly. This time, he touched her cheek. Gently, reverently. Then you stood in that hall and told me I did not own your island. Lena's heart ached. And I realized I had spent years protecting a woman I did not know how to face. His thumb brushed her cheek. Now I know. The kiss was not soft at first. It was restrained too long, haunted too deeply, edged with everything they had survived and everything they had nearly lost. Then, it changed. It became slower, warmer, a surrender neither of them said aloud. Below them, the lighthouse swept its beam over the dark Atlantic, not as a warning now, as a promise. Months later, St. Aula Island remained wild. The school reopened with new windows and a greenhouse funded anonymously, though everyone knew who had paid for it. The marina returned to fishermen. The old hotel became a shelter for women disappearing from dangerous lives. The chapel became a place where no one whispered about death anymore. And Adrian Vale still arrived by black SUV, still made powerful men nervous, still spoke softly when he was most dangerous. But he no longer stood in Lena's life like a wall. He stood beside it like a storm, learning how to become shelter. On the first snowfall of winter, Lena found him at the harbor alone, staring out at the water where her mother's boat had vanished years ago. She walked to him and slipped her hand into his. He looked down, surprised every time. "You still come here," she said. "Yes. To punish yourself? To remember what debt built me?" Lena leaned against him. "My mother saved your life." His voice was rough. "And I couldn't save hers." "No," Lena said softly. "But you saved what she loved." The wind carried snow across the dark water. Adrian turned toward her. For once, there was no armor in his eyes. Only devotion. Dangerous. Earned. Absolute. "I would buy every island in the world," he said, "if it meant finding my way back to you." Lena smiled, tears shining in her eyes. "Don't." His brow lifted. "No more islands? No more islands." She rose onto her toes and kissed him beneath the falling snow. Behind them, the lighthouse turned. Ahead of them, the ocean waited, and for the first time in his life, Adrian Vale did not look like a man preparing for war. He looked like a man who had finally come home.